Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Apples and Ginos Fantasy Hockey Podcast, the podcast you come to when you're finally ready to take fantasy hockey seriously. My name is Groot Nibbelink. I'm the creator of Apples and Ginos, originator of the Zero G draft strategy. And this episode, Blake and I are going to break down the most puzzling players league-wide as determined by the Apples and Ginos Discord server. Let's get it. As promised, we have a special guest for this edition of Puzzling Players, Mr. Blake Creamer, fresh off of saving some lives over the weekend, back in the building. Blake, how are we feeling?
I feel good, baby. Oh, yeah. You know what? I'm really not here to contribute any content. I'm just here to get your takes live. I think because I need some help for my matchups. I'm facing this guy, Nate Groot Nibbelink, in a final here. I need to get any edge I can on this man. He's devious. He knows what he's doing when it comes to fantasy puck.
Well, yeah, you should probably try scoring more than 0 fantasy points to start the day. That would be a good start. But
Let's take it easy.
No, I was looking at our matchup. So for those who haven't caught up with the podcast recently, Blake and I are facing each other in the finals of the Fantasy Puck Content Creators League. And I picked up Braden Shen for this week, and he's got a goal already. So I'm feeling my plums a little bit, not too much, just the right amount. You know, I don't want to be obscene, but the right amount.
Yeah, and this is a live program here, Nathan. All right,
true.
I mean, let's wait a couple hours, then we can really get the biz. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
Okay.
So, yeah, I am staring down the barrel of all your, what do you got? Landeskog, Nichushkin, Snuggerud, Kyrou, Lacombe, and Wedgwood coming later today. So I know that it might be a little short-lived in terms of my gloating, but I got to get the shots in while I can, that's for sure.
I'm happy for you, buddy. I love that for you.
All right. We got random reviews in here. When you have Rust and picked up Witherspoon, very nice. That's a good start for you. Is it more than just the one assist for Rust now?
I think just the one. Oh,
just the one.
Yeah,
just one assist, one Witherspoon assist.
Shorty assist.
Nice. Feels good either way. Love to see it. All right, let's dig in on some puzzling players here. Most requested player, Nazem Kadri, who has a goal, 4 points in his last 16 minutes average time on ice. Pretty big dip from his time in Calgary, but obviously the situation is immensely improved there in Colorado. What do we make of Kadri and the new situation he finds himself in? The top 6 finally healthy for the Avs. What do you think, Blake? What do we expect of Kadri? This is a good streaming week, and yeah, let's start with this week. What do you expect out of Kadri this week for fantasy?
Yeah, I mean, it should be a good one. This guy's obviously rostered at this point, but yeah, like with Colorado having the schedule they have, we're loving life. I would like to see, him get off that third line there. That's not great. Logan O'Connor and Ross Cameo Colton. I mean, we love Ross Colton here, but I don't love the minutes. All right. But I'm just excited about the Avs this week. This is a team that can absolutely just smash for you. It's the best 5-on-5 environment in the league. And the power play has gotten so much better with Kadri on it. So, yeah, I feel like, it's a big change going from a team like Calgary to Colorado, right? So it's going to take a little while. I think he's been decent so far with Colorado. He's put up some good points here, lots of assists. I think more goals are probably on the way, especially on the power play. But yeah, I'm excited about Kadri. I don't think there's anything really puzzling about him. Like, you're rostering him 100% this week. The only problem is, yeah, I wish he was getting a little more ice time.
Yeah, nice matchups to start the week against Calgary and Vancouver. That helps. The underlying metrics not so hot. 175th in shots per 60, 288th individual expected goals for per 60, 85th on ice expected goals for per 60 over the last 5 for Kadri. But yeah, I mean, the matchups, the off nights this week, you're going to be playing Kadri if you had him before. This game continues to go nuts. We got a 4-3 Pittsburgh lead now. Hopefully you got some Pittsburgh Penguins and New York Islanders, as everyone predicted come week 23. At the beginning of the year, everyone predicted that you would need Islanders and Penguins in order to win your fantasy hockey matchups in week 23.
Crazy stuff. How about Anthony Mantha ripping him? Oh, buddy, this guy's been just such a strange player this year, doing a lot with very little. I'm interested in players like that. Like, yeah, guys like Jamie Benn too. Those are players that are puzzling to me that I'm going to be digging in on in the offseason. Like, how are they doing this? You know, the guy's minutes are not great, but he's doing a lot with very little. So shout out to Anthony Mantha.
Right. Next up, we have JT Miller, a goal, 6 assists for 7 points in his last five, over 19 minutes a night, 167 shots for 60, 89th individual expected goals for per 60, and 91st in on ice expected goals for per 60. We actually have a whole lineup of Rangers here. We have Lafreniere, we have Cooley, we have Gavrikov, we have Trocheck. Let's start with Miller, Blake. So obviously the Rangers still have 4 games this week, but 3 of those are on the heavy nights: Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then the Sunday off night at the end of the week. So maybe you're actually thinking about benching some of these Rangers that you've been holding because of the great schedule prior to this. Let's start with Miller. What do you expect out of him the rest of the way here?
I mean, it's nice to see the production coming finally, right? And it came at the perfect time. Obviously, the Rangers had a great schedule last week. He did some stuff there, helped some people out. So maybe it takes the sting away from a really, really poor JT Miller season. But yeah, I mean, what do I expect this upcoming week? I feel like the Rangers are leaning into their youth a little bit. And, you know, they have a bunch of rookies in the lineup, young guys. Miller's now on the third line, centering Connor Sheary and Ty Cartier. Like, that's not plum deployment, you know what I mean? But he's still playing on a very good power play there in New York. I feel like the pressure's definitely off. Like, everybody knows New York stinks this year. They've been officially eliminated from the playoffs. So I expect a looser JT Miller, and I expect him to run into some points, especially on the power play. The numbers are still good, like in terms of his deployment, right? He's last 5 games, he's playing just over 19 minutes. That'll play. But yeah, I mean, we're not looking at 100-point Miller. We're not looking at 80-point Miller. I think 60 to 70-point Miller at this point is enough, right? That's enough for me to keep him on your squad on those busy nights. I don't know. What are you doing with JT Miller? Like, I've dropped some Rangers for sure. And I know we'll talk about a few more, but like Alexis Lafreniere, who we'll talk about next, is a guy that I did bounce because I was only getting him in for 1 game, which is that Sunday. But Miller, if I had him, I'd probably be playing him. What about you?
Yeah, I think you can drop JT Miller if you need to. I'm not in love with the even strength line mates there. Connor Sheary, Ty Cartier. It worked last week. That's no guarantee that it will work again. Obviously, the top power play is a good spot to be, but that might not be enough if you're not getting him in. I would honestly look at it this way. If you're not getting him in for Thursday and Saturday, if you have better options Thursday and Saturday, then I probably would bounce him. And you probably have somebody that you could pick up for this Anaheim game here tonight. Maybe there's still somebody out there from St. Louis, a Snuggerud or something like that. That's a possibility. If that's out there for you, then I think you should investigate it. And yeah, I would drop JT Miller for Jimmy Snuggerud. 4 games of Jimmy Snuggerud versus 2 games of JT Miller. I'd do that in a heartbeat. So if that's the situation you find yourself in, I think it's not too crazy, even given the recent stretch of good play. I just don't have a lot of faith in really anybody from the Rangers to continue at a huge hot pace rest of season. Alexis Lafreniere included. He has 4 points, 2 goals in his last 5, 18.5 minutes average time on ice, 150th shots for 60, 207th individual expected goals for per 60, 181st in on ice expected goals for per 60. So yeah, I think he's in a similar boat. Like, I don't actually view him that dissimilarly to JT Miller for the rest of this week. I think him, Trocheck, Miller, all relatively similar. I think I would put Trocheck at the bottom of that because he continues to be completely unable to shoot the puck on net. 313th in shots per 60 in the last 5 games. It's just not working. And he's on this Will Cooley, Adam Sikora line that got the least amount of ice time among all 4 lines in the last game they played against the Panthers. It's just not a great look for Vinitro. Yep. Obviously a friend of the show. We would love to see it turn around for him, but yeah, I'm kind of in the same place with all these skaters. I think I would potentially rank Lafreniere slightly ahead of JT Miller if it came to that. If I was deciding between which one of the two to drop, I think I might take Lafreniere over Miller, but it would be a bit of a toss-up. Trocheck probably a cut down below that. Will Cooley probably another step down below that, although he is got some of the better shot metrics, 76th in shots per 60 over the last 5. And then Vladislav Gavrikov. I am still rostering Gavrikov. Actually,
I saw that
in the Fantasy Puck League, despite his recent run of absolute zeros. I was just looking at it like if he gets like one assist, I'm getting him in for all 4 games. Like what am I gonna pick up out there? Especially because I had other moves that I felt like I had to make. I had 3 guys from between Utah and Nashville, and I had to drop at least one of those. I felt like otherwise I was just gonna get completely caved in on actual games played. And so, yeah, was I going to make my third ad on a Monday to try to squeeze out one? It wouldn't have actually even been more games played. It would have just been like a forward instead of Gavrikov. And I decided the ad was more worthwhile than trying to squeeze out extra points right from Monday. Time will tell there. I'm not excited about Gavrikov. Obviously, nobody is, but that was a decision that I had to make this week after going for it last week and pulling it out. So, yeah, you could find yourself in that situation. It wouldn't be the craziest thing to hang on to him. He's still skating 23 minutes a night, and maybe 4 games of 23 minutes a night, given the fact that he has scored 16 goals on the season, 14 goals, sorry, on the season, 16 goal pace, is might be worth it enough for you to just hang on and hope that he manages to float a few by a goaltender at some point throughout the week. I've just talked on the Rangers at length, Blake. So let me toss it back over to you. Are you in relative agreement, or do you have any big bones to pick with any of the takes I've put on record so far?
No, I'm just gonna let those fizzle. Yeah, just burn in flames. But no, it's rostering Gavrikov, definitely a choice, my man. I rostered him early in the year when the Rangers had the 5 games, and I could get him in all 5. That made some sense. Plus, he was getting power play 1. I don't know what's going on right now, buddy. But yeah, if you're getting him in for 4, that makes some sense. I still have some hope for Miller. I think Miller, at least this season, I think I'm putting Miller over Lafreniere, even though Lafreniere's metrics have been better as of late. I still think Miller is a better player overall. And, I think he's going to get the biz on the power play. So that said, I mean, like you said, these guys, we've been getting so many questions, hey, about like the busy nights here and how we're kind of ranking these players. And I think I do agree with your takes, whereas the Rangers, we got to bump them down the list just because they have not been good. And like I said, I really do think they're leaning into some of their young players here. And yeah, they're going to give them some run. And that means less run for guys like Vinny Tro, especially. Will Cooley is not a guy I'm interested at all. Like, I think he's a drop at this point, unless you're in a Bangers Cats league, right? Like, Will Cooley is not going to get anything done for you offensively. Lafreniere and Miller, to me, are the guys that are fringe players. I like Miller a little better, but yeah, it is what it is. I love seeing Gavrikov on your squad, buddy. Feels good.
All right, let's get to the comments. We got a bunch here now. Lucio wants to know, can y'all post your teams and make a poll for who we think wins between the two of you? Well, having just outed myself as rostering Gavrikov, I don't think I'll be posting my team anytime soon for further ridicule by the general public. But if Blake
Lucio, hit me up in the
it,
DMs, bud. I'll give you the squads. Don't worry.
If Blake decides to do it, I don't think I can realistically prevent that from across the country. Redman, what should we do with goalies that get 2 games this week? Cats League, not points. 3 ads per week max. I have both Veggie and Saros. That is a tough look at this point in the year. You could look to drop one of them. If you're gonna drop one, I would drop Saros because I'm pretty convinced that Vejmelka gets both. I'm pretty convinced both of them get both games after resting for the full week here. But if you're going to drop one, I'd drop Saros. I don't know that you're going to get more games played out of a different goaltender, but maybe you have to go out and add a third goaltender. Yeah, you're probably just honestly stuck. I don't know, Blake, do you got any better ideas on what to do there?
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly right, Nate. Like, I don't really see it as stuck either. I mean, you and I have talked about it all year. If you stream a goalie in, you want to make sure he gets 2 games, and you've got 2 guys that should technically get 2 games. And I feel confident as well. So you're still looking at 4 goalie starts. That'll play. That's enough, right? Focus on your skaters because to me, Utah and Nashville both have a bunch to play for. I see no reason why they wouldn't put Vejmelka and Saros in for both of those games. And you'll probably get some good performances. They're both really good goalies. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about your goalies. Just focus on some skaters there. Like Nate said, maybe you can stream in like a goalie stream later on if it's tight, and you can kind of figure it out at that point. But you're not in as bad a shape as you think.
All right. With a chance, how do you guys like Philly centers, Dvorak and Cates? I can get them in for all 4 games, thinking about dropping Trocheck. I'm actually pretty into that idea in general. Philadelphia goes Tuesday, Thursday, but then finishes up with Friday, Sunday, which is pretty crucial in avoiding that super heavy Saturday.
Mhm.
Only St. Louis is the other team with that Friday, Sunday schedule at the end of the week. So it is actually a pretty distinct advantage that you get from rostering Philly players. Dvorak playing with Travis Konechny and Carl Grunstrom lately, while Noah Cates has been playing with Michkov and Alex Bump. Yeah, I think that Cates has been getting some run with this Zegras, Konechny, Michkov top power play unit, which is obviously of interest. Dvorak's underlying numbers look a little bit better. Which way would you go, Blake?
If I had to choose one,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'd probably go with Cates. That makes a lot of sense to me. Dvorak he's been rosterable this year at times, especially when he was playing with Konechny and I don't remember the other winger was Zegras. Yeah, that was a nice little line. And obviously, Tocchet saw something that was working and he just blew it up. He doesn't care, right? But both these guys are viable. I'm interested in Philly back half of the week, but like just at this week, there's some clear like Monday, Wednesday guys, or now it's going to have to be Tuesday, Wednesday players. Like, does anyone have a Tuesday, Wednesday? I'm talking out of my, no one has Tuesday, Wednesday. So yeah, I liked kind of going Monday, Wednesday, and then flipping over to Flyers. But I mean, at this point, you're getting your Monday game, you drop somebody, and then you pick the Flyers. That makes some sense to me. So yeah, I'd rank it the same way: Cates and then Dvorak.
Yeah, I think they're both pretty equal in my eyes. You could tie break to who's on top power play currently, but it's just as likely to change by the next game, as we all know. Puck Screws, hey guys, should I drop Sergachev this week? Playoffs, I can fit him in both Thursday, Saturday, but maybe better to drop. Really depends on who you're going out to grab. Like, if it's your typical 12-team league, there's not much out there in terms of D-men that you can add. If you can fit a forward in, or if you can turn that spot into a forward streaming spot, and there are actually some really decent guys out there, like if I'm just going to throw a name out there. If Chris Kreider's out there and you're still kind of filling up all your roster spots, but you can go get Chris Kreider for tonight and for the rest of the week, then that's the spot where I might actually consider it over Sergachev. What about you, Blake?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's the two games. Sergachev's been hot lately, so that kind of makes it a little bit harder. But it's been assists, right? He's not out there just driving a bunch of plays. He's picking up some assists on some really good offensive play from the forwards there. So, I think you could drop him, but as always, it depends on the ad. This Nate just sniped Chris Kreider from me right at 3 a.m. on Yahoo here in our matchup. I knew you're going to go for him too, buddy. I don't know what kind of like magic you're working with over there. I clicked the button immediately, said he was gone. So I don't know. There's some shady business there. Nate, do you have anything to say for yourself?
Just faster on the draw, fastest guy in the West. That's all I have to say. Actually, the East over here, Best Coast, as it's commonly known.
Now you're out of control. I don't know what's happening, but I think you could drop Sergachev, but I'd love to keep him in the lineup. But you have to make sure that it's at the very least. I love a +2, right? Like if you're dropping a guy, and I don't think it's really possible anymore because we're already past the money. But like Nate said, if you can get a Monday player in, drop Sergachev, get 4 games with somebody, that's a +2. I'm here for it.
Also says, thank you so much for everything, Apples and Ginos. Best fantasy hockey podcast on YouTube. Made it to both of my finals. Currently battling for 2 league wins this week. That's awesome. Love to see it. Thanks for sticking with us all year. Random reviews. Nate Mantha blowing up like you said he might. Good call. Yeah, he's got 2 goals and an assist. So, I mean, it's a long week, but it's a good start to the week. That's for sure.
Oh, my.
Who would you pick up between Granlund for 3 games, Mayu for 4 games? Goals are worth 6, assists worth 4, hits and blocks are worth 1. So big weight for hits and blocks. That might actually lean me back towards Mayu. I was going to say Granlund until I saw that hits and blocks weight. Mayu has, I mean, I don't want to roster Mayu because, reasons. But if you're just looking at who's going to score more fantasy points in 4 games, probably Mayu. How do you feel, Blake?
That doesn't feel good. I mean, if it was 2 games to 4. But I mean, 3 games of Granny, this guy's cooking right now. And it's unsustainable, but he's in the fire. And I like the strength of schedule there for Anaheim as well. They're playing a bunch of duds. So I think I'd go Granny there. But I mean, I've had so many questions about Logan Mailloux as well. He's viable. He's absolutely viable this week. He's a beefer. He does that. But I don't know. I think I'd rather try and go for the offense there and see what you can get with Granny. My 2 cents.
All right, Sam King just won my 10-man head-to-head points league. Thanks to you boys for all the advice and help this year. Won some money as it's a $100 buy-in league. Very nice. Congrats to you. Well deserved, I'm sure.
Legend.
Bradman, can you please add Cartier Monahan to the sheet? Uber deep, I know. I can add them, but I will already tell you what you should do with them, and that is punt them into the sun and never think about it again. The underlying numbers are not hot here. Cartier's best recommendation is that he's playing with JT Miller at this point. You heard me say that I would consider dropping JT Miller if I wasn't getting him in for games. So, yeah, that's about where I'm at. I mean, Bangers Cats, Cartier is throwing the body around, actually. Kind of won me the category in my Bangers Cats league last week with those off nights. So there is that. Go in for Ty Cartier, but if it's not Bangers Cats, he's gone. With a chance, thoughts on Sharks players, Eklund and Wenberg, some Celebrini exposure there. We can add those two to the sheet. Off the cuff, Blake, Eklund, Wenberg, you have any interest?
Yeah, for sure for the Monday, Wednesday. But yeah, you're gonna have to act fast. I think Wenberg, I like the time on ice, but he's not dangerous in any way. Like this guy's out there, he's a glue kind of player, right? He walks so his line mates can run, right? He's doing all the defensive work, the breaking the puck out of the zone, but he obviously has the trust of the head coach there. He gets a ton of minutes. So I'm here for it. I think he could do a lot worse. I mean, he has had power play 1 in the past. I haven't checked recently here. Is he getting power play 1 right now?
Wenberg's still on power play 1.
Is. So yeah, I'm going Wenberg there all day. Eklund's minutes have been down a little bit, and that's a bit frustrating because he's a much better offensive player than Wenberg, but he still needs to learn how to play on the right side of the puck. Am I right, Nathan?
I think he does pretty well for himself, to be quite
Damn.
honest. I mean, it's 18 minutes a night, but Wenberg getting that 20-minute a night treatment, shorthanded time as well. He's just going to be on the ice more. I think it's pretty close to a tie for me, but with Wenberg currently on power play 1 and neither player attached to Celebrini at even strength, I think I would probably just default to the power play 1 guy and hope he runs into something there. Ricky Garcia in the semis need to bring Rantanen off IR, drop Montour or Sanderson. Would leave me with 3 healthy D-men until Sanderson is back. Less willing to drop Sergachev, but open to ideas. Interesting. I don't know, Blake. You have an immediate take? This is breaking a tie 3 ways.
Yeah, I think if I'm understanding the question properly, like you've got to get Rantanen in. Like Sanderson is already out, so is he in your roster? Like we need a little bit more context there. Is he in your roster because you could just switch them, obviously? But if you're looking at dropping a player, like pull that question up again, Nate. Who is the other player? So it's Montour and
Sanderson and then Sergachev.
I mean, it sounds like Sanderson's not going to play the next game as well, right? But he's close. And that said, too, he's also coming off injury, so I don't know how efficient he's going to be. That's a tough one. Like just straight dropping one of those players, I think you can drop Montour. Like Montour's playing all the busy nights. He's got good metrics. It's kind of a weird one, right? Because I don't know the context of the rest of the team there, but like. I guess you'll get 3 games of, let's say you get 3 games of Sanderson, right? Because you're not getting the Tuesday, but you technically could get the Thursday, the Saturday, and the Sunday. So I'd take 3 games of Sanderson over 3 games of Montour. So if we're saying that Sanderson comes back on the Thursday, then I think you could drop Montour.
Yep, I think I'm in line with that. Lucio asking if we can throw Kreider, Terry, Roenick on the sheets. Do something like that.
Buddy, there's some Leafs news. Did you see this?
What's going on? I'm deep in the weeds here.
Yep.
Give it to me, Neil.
Give it to me, Neil. Neil, your boy, Brad Treliving, got the boot.
Why would they do that now?
I don't know.
That's pretty odd, actually.
It is. But yeah, he's gonzo, buddy. So yeah, they don't have any. Yeah, I'm just seeing now. Like we haven't heard what the replacement is or who's the interim or anything like that. But tree living is tree dying currently right now. Okay, he's not in business anymore. Yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, my hopeful take is that this means that they have another candidate in mind and they're really going after him hard right now before any other team gets to him. And hopefully that means that it's a good candidate and they're not going to do the ridiculous thing they did when they let go of Dubas and, fart around right at the draft and not allow, or right at the free agency and not
Yes.
allow the new general manager to have any say whatsoever. So hopefully this means that whoever they've got in their sights is a good one, and they'll have some sway and some ability to make changes, which are pretty obviously desperately needed with the Leafs organization right now. So I don't know. It's obviously been not a great season, and he deserves to get fired in terms of hockey, how hockey goes year to year. So I think it's probably a good thing overall. But the with the Leafs, I'm never gonna get too excited
I
about
know.
an influx of new blood. It's the same excrement in a different color. Chris Kreider, 4 points, last five, 138 shots per 60, 51st. Individual expected goals, 4 per 60. Troy Terry, 33rd on ice, expected goals, 4 per 60. Yeah, I like both of these guys. I think they're really good at hockey, and they're in a pretty good spot to continue to do that this week. Anaheim has just an absolute murderer's row of teams this week with the Toronto Maple Leafs, the San Jose Sharks, and St. Louis Blues, and then the Calgary Flames to top it all off on Saturday. So yeah, if they don't come away with a bunch of goals this week, then I would be shocked, because they should absolutely rack up some goals on those teams. The Blues have been playing good defense. I shouldn't sell them short. They've been playing good defense, especially 5v5. So might be the toughest game of the week for them, but that is saying something. Philip Hronek, 3 points in his last five, over 25 and a half minutes average time on ice. I think Hronek is good, pretty good to roster for the week here. Vancouver's got 4 games, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes, right. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I like Hronek for this week a lot, and don't mind getting him in wherever you can. All right. Dirty Deed. My second, third, and fourth round pick come from Preds in Utah. Forsberg, Yossi, Keller, Saros is keeping these guys till Saturday and then dropping on Sunday the move. I have a max of 4 moves this week. That is a rough spot. I would probably try to find some way to get some games played out of at least one of those roster spots. I said about, my team, I had Schmaltz, Gunther, and Forsberg on this fantasy puck team, and I dropped Schmaltz just because I felt like I had to get some games played back, give myself a few more outs at a big night from a different player. So yeah, that is a tough look. I think Saros is the only guy I feel like I could consider dropping, though, from that list. Yeah, might be something we have to factor into some draft day conversations next year. If there are, you don't want to have too many players from a couple teams that have this kind of schedule in your fantasy finals, because even if you get there, it might be tough sledding. Did you guys already look at Weatherspoon and Neighbors? We did not, but I can tell you right now that Weatherspoon's underlings are not terrible, and that is pretty much exclusively due to the fact that he plays with Erik Karlsson all the time, playing over 20 minutes a night. I can also tell you that Neighbors does not look good, because I was considering him in a league, and yeah, he is 386th in shots per 60 over the last 5, playing under 14 minutes a night. It's been a really rough stretch for Jake Neighbors over the last little bit, and I just completely passed on him, even though I would have gotten an extra game played out of him in a spot this week. So that's where I'm at on Jake Neighbors. Anything to add on those two, Blake?
No, I think you got it. Yeah. I mean, Neighbors could and probably should be rostered for this week, but it's definitely a deeper league ad. Like, it's not going to be a league winner. This guy's getting okay minutes, but in and around like 14 to 15 minutes a night. It's bare minimum that you need for a streamer, and there's a lot of better options.
All right. Callie, hey gents, could you look at Connor Brown? Let's take a look at Connor Brown. 2 goals, 3 points in his last 5, 20 minutes a night, which is pretty nice. 205 shots per 60, 167 individual expected goals, 4 per 60, 70th, and on ice expected goals, 4 per 60. Obviously, been getting a lot of Jack Hughes exposure as of late. Top line, top power play. Never a bad place to be if you are a journeyman winger on the New Jersey Devils, as Connor Brown is. It's a nice spot. If you're getting him into games this week and you can continue to do so, I don't mind it. But I'm not going to move heaven and earth to keep Connor Brown on my team. There are definitely better streamers out there that I'd be more interested in. If I'm getting the same amount of games played, I'd take Chris Kreider straight up over Connor Brown for this week, for example. Yeah, that's about where I'm at on that. Got more Brad Treliving talk in the chat. Some Toronto fans that are pretty happy about it. And hard not to at least be happy that they did the quote unquote right thing there. Looking to next year, Sam King, I need to pick 4 players to keep in 10-team head-to-head points league. Not allowed to protect anyone drafted in the first 2 rounds. Oh, this is a long one. Let's see, where does it go from here? There's a whole lot to this one. Kyle Connor, Matt Boldy, Matt Kachuk, J. Rob, Darlene. Who should I protect? Can only choose 4. Your thoughts, Blake?
4 of those players?
Mm-hmm.
J. Rob, Boldy, Darlene, Matt Kachuk.
Agreed.
Boom.
Got it done. All right, what do we got here? Just a couple of absolute beauties. Who, us? Too bad someone's going to have to take an L this week. Trouble in Paradise. Yeah, we'll see if we have a podcast after this week.
Not for me. Not for me. So that's fine. I'm excited, buddy. This is epic. We've been playing together. Like Nate and I, we were in a lot of leagues together this year. I think three. Yeah. Yep. And it's always fun. It's always a fun week because you're going to have to get the biz, right? You got to get up, you got to get the early things. Like when I play Nate, sometimes I get up on weekdays at 12 a.m. and make sure I get a player. So I'm just excited to do it for the finals. Like this is pretty epic. And I'm just happy that one of us gets to win. Like I honestly feel that way. I don't feel like I need to smash you. I want to, but if I don't, I'm not going to be upset about it. Well, maybe I'll be a little bit upset about it. I'll probably take a little sabbatical. But I'm excited.
I'd smash you any day, Bunny.
Oh, thank you, Bunny.
Bunny? Okay. Is that what came out?
That's
it's a Freudian slip.
God, Avalanche are killing Calgary right now. So that's
shocker of the century there.
Yeah, there we go.
What's the play here? Currently have Ingy, Lion, and Bussy. 6K, Hofer, and Dobish are available. Would like to use one of my 3 ads for the 2.5 weeks matchup on one of them and save the other 2 ads for a forward. So you've got a 2.5 week matchup starting this week. Interesting. Yeah, I think I'd be interested in Hofer. As I mentioned, the Blues are actually playing really good defense currently. Hofer goes tonight, so if you can get this in before that starts. Dobish would be my other consideration. Your thoughts, Blake, and who you would drop if you're going to do that?
Oh, I mean, I hate the defensive environment there in Edmonton, too, to be honest. And also Lion, like UPL, they changed the goalie rotation there in Buffalo. So UPL is getting 2 straight games. So I don't know. I think you could drop all 3 of your goalies, honestly, if you wanted. I think Dobish is the guy I would add over anybody. He's playing unreal right now, and Montreal's feeling their plums for sure. But I might go, if you're looking for one, I would go Dobish. That's my thoughts there. I'm definitely concerned a little bit about Bussy in Carolina, just Carolina in general, and the quality of chances that they give up. I read something recently about they suppress shots and stuff, but they don't suppress chances. So Bussy, for him to succeed, he has to catch bullets in his teeth, and he was doing that a lot of the year, and then it sort of fell back into where it probably should be. So we'll see how they finish, but I like Dobish there.
All right, I would take Hofer. So make your choice and then come tell us who is wrong at the end of it. Okay, Cats League, final goalie pickup suggestion. Man, lots of goalie stuff. This is our bread and butter here, Blake. Renning, Hofer need to pick up one of Vladar, Dobish, Ingram. Wins, goals against average, save percentage, and saves. Thanks for everything this year, fellas. Ooh, so basically, it's an even split between volume and rate stats there. Montreal goes Lightning, Rangers back-to-back against the Devils this week. What's Philly got? They got the Capitals, Red Wings, Islanders, Bruins. Not really any better. That is a tough look. I think I would go Dobish there. You agree with that one, Blake?
So okay, definitely Dobish. And I like Vladar too, but Dobish to me is the clear number one there. I don't trust Philly's offense. I think defensively and Vladar is great.
Lucio, Nate ranked these men what order you'd rather cross streams with: Tony D, JT Miller, Marshawn, Logan, Mayu, please. That's
Got
a
to be
great
Marshawn at
question.
number one.
Oh yeah, and with a bullet, Brad Marchand number one. I feel like he would make that a good time for everybody for sure. The other guys, like, oh man, that is just a rough look overall. I would feel unclean from having crossed the
Yeah.
streams with these men.
Just a triple stream of hate, just right there, just going down the drain. We don't know what's happening, but I'd still do it. All right. Yeah. I can't quit JT Miller, even though the man is an ultimate dingus. I got a little bit of a soft spot for him.
Oh, right. What do we got? We got to get through this. Would you take Kreider over Mayu or Granlund? I would. You, Blake?
I'd probably go Granlund. Actually, what am I talking about? No, I go Kreider.
Yes, that is the correct answer. I can add Kreider or Seneca tonight, but I need to drop one of my D-men. I got Clark, Sergachev, Fox, Chikrin, and Lacombe. Already picked up Granlund this morning, but what do you think? That is tough. LA goes Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday this week. Ooh,
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about any of this. I think it's between Clark and Sergachev for me. Mostly just based on the games played here. I don't know, Blake. You gotta lean between Clark and Sergachev.
I mean, probably Clark.
Okay.
But I don't know. Do you need Seneca? Like Seneca should be rostered, so he should be. I would take. You can add Kreider or Seneca. Jeez, and you already have what did he say? Yeah,
Granlund.
Granlund this morning. So yeah, I would instead of Granlund, I would have picked up Seneca. So sorry about that, puck screw. But yeah, I think I don't know. I'd have to see the rest of your roster. I think you could drop Clark or Sergachev. I'd be leaning Clark. I just think Sergachev is he's hot right now, and that could continue. 2 games of him versus 3 of Clark. I think I'd rather Sergachev.
Okay. If you're getting an extra game out of Clark, I would drop Sergachev. So throw that in there. Who has more potential, Martone or Mishkov? It's tough to say with Martone having not played at the NHL level. I think in terms of just raw points, I think Michkov probably has more raw point potential in terms of actual overall fantasy goodness and the potential to play 18 minutes a night, even under Rick Tocchet. Martone might have him beat there. So, yeah, I'm into both players, though. I think the Flyers have a couple good ones there. Redman, I'm going to miss this. Can't believe it's the last show of the year. Going for the championship in 2 leagues and third in another. Humbled in Cupful Tier 6. Yeah, it happens to the best of us. Don't feel bad about that. But it is tough to get to the end of the year every year. 2 power play goals from Kadri. Thanks, guys, for blessing him. Yes, we did all the rites and incantations.
Spectacles, testicles, wallet, and watch.
There you go. How do you rank Landeskog, Nichushkin, Lehkonen, Taves? Luke Hughes, Dobson, Jones. Also options for myself. It would be Landeskog, then Lehkonen, then Nichushkin, then Taves. I think I'd take Luke Hughes. He's been getting on top power play. I'd take Luke Hughes over. Actually, I'd probably if you're getting the same amount of games played out of all of them, I'm just going to make that assumption because otherwise this turns into a ridiculous endeavor. So if you're getting the same games played out of all of them and it's a more standard points setup, I'd go Landeskog, Lehkonen, Luke Hughes, Seth Jones, Devon Taves, Noah Dobson. Final answer.
Oh, you're out of control. All right, I like that. Landeskog, Lehkonen, Luke Hughes.
So basically exactly what I said.
No, I'd get Dobby. I'd get Dobby, Jones, and Taves as my last.
Ooh.
That's how I do.
Oh, appreciate your insight, fellas. No problem. Dirty Deed is going to drop Saros, Buchnevich, or Neighbors. Thanks for being absolute beauties. I would go Buchnevich there. Neighbors, I just don't trust. Under 14 minutes, at least Buchnevich is going to be on the ice and have the potential to score a point because he's actually physically playing the hockey game. My U crossing streams is diabolical. I would agree. I'm in the finals, going 60-40, so I'm guaranteed 800. First is 1,200. Oh, nice.
Oh, my God.
I made the agreement in advance. I like that.
Like that.
Guarantee yourself some good stuff. I don't mind that at all. Instant analysis on Maple Leafs firing GM. Yeah, I mentioned it before, but can't view it as anything but a good thing considering how the season has gone. But Cora, hey, Nate and Blake, just wanted to say thank you for the amazing content. Been super helpful in making my first finals. Congrats. Also,
Legend.
Blake, regarding the Canucks, are you a McKenna or Stenberg guy? I think we've established this, right, Blake?
It's got to be McKenna. Oh, that would get me. That would get me juiced. All right, I need that.
Okay.
Stenberg is like, yeah, I'm sure it's great, but I know McKenna. Stenberg, I need to dig in a little more, but we're getting McKenna. All right, book it.
All right. Trevor says, always appreciate all you guys give us at Apples and Ginos. Thanks for all the advice this year. It is our pleasure. Taylor, 20-man league, would you guys hold Nikishin or drop to stream? I have Ghost. Probably dropping, unless it's, even if it's Bangers Cats. Are you hanging on to Nikishin, Blake?
20-man. 20-man league? What does that mean?
20, I assume it means a 20-team league, but
in a 20-teamer, sure. I'm going to hold on to Nikishin. Who are you going to get that's better than Nikishin in a 20-teamer?
Probably someone who's actually going to play games.
All right, he's so salty, folks. It's just he's just so salty, but he's also a little bit sweet too. That's a great combination, Nate. You know that? You ever had that kettle corn popcorn? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
Damn, like that Chicago blend. Get that in your life. But do you ever get like a popcorn seed right up in a molar and you can't get it out for like 3 days?
Yes.
And then it gets infected and you have to go to emergency dental surgery. Has that ever happened to you?
Not to that extent, no.
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah. All right, we got to get back to the list or
Right.
we'll never get through it. Where did we leave off? I think it was Braden Point, the bane of my existence in Cupful. Just one goal in his last 5 games. 18 and a half minutes average time on ice, 149th in shots per 60. 31st still in individual expected goals, 4 per 60. Most ludicrous stat on the planet is Braden Point's expected goals this year. 63rd in on-ice expected goals, 4 per 60. 25 goals, 69-point pace. That's not very nice, Braden Point. I expected more when I drafted you. On the season, this man ranks 6th in individual expected goals, 4 per 60, and has converted on none of it. 15.2% shooting percentage after rocking 20% shooting percentages the last 3 years in a row. I don't like it. I don't like what's happened to my Braden Point, and I think a lot of it is Darren Radish, to be quite honest with you. I think Braden Point became a bit of an afterthought on that power play once Radish started pumping the net full with that 95-mile-an-hour slapper, and I honestly think that's a pretty good chunk of what happened here. Sorelli playing center for Kucherov the last little bit certainly hasn't helped either. Point has been Kucherov's center for the vast majority of the time that they've both been on the Lightning. And so, yeah, I think it's a bit of a combination of those two things. Anything to add, Blake?
No, I think you're bang on.
All right. Wow. Just a
Yeah, I know you want to move it
there.
along, Nate. Yeah, so I'm just happy to be here. All right.
Philip Broberg has 4 points his last 5, almost 24 minutes a night. 188 shots per 60, 148 individual expected goals, 4 per 60. 41st in on ice expected goals, 4 per 60 is Broberg. I don't trust it still with Broberg. He is getting the top power play look there on the Rob Thomas unit. Yeah, it's a streaming option for this week. If you need to get those off nights in, Broberg is a way to do that. And I don't hate it. I just don't know that you can reasonably expect it to continue at a 4 points in every 5 games pace.
Oh, you're just throwing it to me? Yeah, I think you got Philip Broberg's a must-add this week, right? So to me, this he's great for fantasy. He's not great in real life. Like this is a young player is actually going to need to learn how to play on the other side of the puck. But he's great at zone entries, and his offensive skills are pretty darn good. So, yeah, I think this is a guy that maybe we'll be interested in on really, really late or in deeper leagues next season.
All right, a couple of Boston Bruins here. Morgan Geekie, Elias Lindholm. Geekie has 4 assists in the last 5 games, but no goals. Lindholm has 4 goals and 5 points in his last 5. Geekie, 224 shots per 60, 214th individual expected goals, 4 per 60, up at 17th in on-ice expected goals, 4 per 60. Elias Lindholm, 37th shots per 60, 70th individual expected goals, 4 per 60, 57th in on-ice expected goals, 4 per 60. Both guys in and around 17 minutes average time on ice. Lindholm and Geekie have been playing on a line together with Lucas Reichel, which is not ideal. And then the power play, they've been doing some interesting stuff there. The unit that got the most time in the last game was Arvidsson, Pasternak, Zaka, Middlestat. I don't think that's going to continue, but that is concerning for these two players and their ability to keep putting points up. Where are you at on these two Bruins, Blake?
I mean, yeah, I like the players, in a bubble. Obviously, Geeky's had an amazing year. It's funny to me how Pasta has become the facilitator on this team, and Geeky is the trigger man, whereas Pasta is the guy that has like 60 goal potential. So it just shows the talent of David Pasternak and his ability to do that. But yeah, what's going on in Boston right now is Casey Middlestat, Pavel Zacha, and Victor Arvidsson are popping the hell off. And then Elias Lindholm and Connor Morgan Geeky are getting the remains, right? So they're sagging a little bit. So I feel, I mean, I'm not saying go get the second line over these guys, but it could be a little bit of a slog before it gets better because the second line's cooking right now. And as you mentioned, they're starting to sprinkle some of those second liners in on the power play.
Yeah, I don't have a ton of confidence in either of them, especially as they just move guys around the lineup. It's a decent spot this week with 4 games played, but if they're not playing the Thursday, Saturday for you, that is a little bit rough, especially if you're only getting them in against teams like Dallas or Philadelphia, who plays some pretty good defense game to game. Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at dropping them if there are better options out there for you. Let's move on to Jake Neighbors. As you mentioned before, just a couple assists in the last 5 games. It's been a while since he scored a goal, under 14 minutes average time on ice. I basically was uninterested in picking up Neighbors. He was available in all spots this week for me, and I did not take the bait on any of those. Having said that, he'll probably score a whole bunch of goals this week. Make me look stupid, but there's nothing to recommend him to us in terms of his underlying stats. Mayu, we talked about a bit, does have some good underlying stats here. 22 minutes a night, 3 assists in his last 5, 57th in shots per 60, 32nd individual expected goals, 4 per 60, 108th in on-ice expected goals, 4 per 60 on the second power play unit for the St. Louis Blues currently. And doing a bit of banging, like a little bit over a block and a hit per game. So he's not a minus for you there either. So that's definitely something you can look at this week if you need to. Let's stay with St. Louis and talk about Kyrou. You picked up Kyrou this week, Blake. Obviously, the potential for those big games is always something that's there with Kyrou. He's got a couple goals, 4 points in his last 5. Still skating just 15.5 minutes a night, 194th shots per 60, and 242nd in individual expected goals, 4 per 60, 200th in on-ice expected goals, 4 per 60. It's power play 2. It's Buchnevich and Neighbors as his most recent line mates. Neither of those guys are too hot. Where are you at on Kyrou? Do you think he'll have a big week?
I mean, I'm hoping he has a big week, but I can't sit here and be like, yeah, he's going to be great, right? Because you talked about this last night in your show where it's just like the top line is doing so well, and then everyone else is kind of falling off. And Jordan Kyrou is part of that that's falling off. So this is kind of wish casting a little bit and trusting the talent of the player because yeah, his metrics in the last 5 games not great, but his metrics on the year, like this is a guy that pops the hell off. Like on the year, he's 29th overall in shots to goal per 60, 22nd overall in individual expected goals 4 per 60. The problem is just under 16 minutes average time on ice. Can't endear himself to the coach there, but the talent of the player is too much for me to leave him on the wire. So I think you got to have him in a week like this.
Yeah, I don't hate that, especially as a guy, just as a streamer. You want a guy who you think can pop off as a streamer. And if he does nothing, then, that's honestly most streamers, if we're being honest with ourselves over the course of the year. Most streamers don't work out terrifically, but you want a guy who could actually make a difference and actually win you your matchup if things go right. So I think Kyrou fits the bill there. Josh Norris, obviously one of your favorites here, Blake. Not the hottest stretch for him as of late. Just 1 assist in his last 5, 15.5 minutes average time on ice, 249 shots per 60. Still up there at 35th in on ice expected goals, 4 per 60. On the top power play, but not getting a ton of even strength time on ice there. What do you think about Josh Norris at this stage? What should we expect from him moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's become streamer level to me, and he probably was like for most of the season, honestly. But I just love the value for Josh Norris in draft season, and I think right now, like it's nice to see that his on ice numbers are still good, right? So his line is generating some chances and shots. It's just he's not really getting in on that, and he's not a big shooter or chance generator himself, right? So all that to say, I think that better days are ahead for Josh Norris, but I feel like you can easily drop him, and there's probably guys that you can get in, like any of these St. Louis guys. I'd take Jordan Kyrou over Josh Norris this week in a heartbeat, right? There's like players like that. Even Logan Mailloux, I'd take, 4 games of him over 2 games of Josh Norris. I think that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, thank you for your service, Josh. I really like him as a player. I bet he could have a big playoffs for this team because he can get hot, and he is usually a pretty efficient player, but it just has been happening lately.
All right, Mark Stone, just a couple goals in his last 5, still 21 minutes a night, 226 shots per 60, 129 in individual expected goals for per 60, up at 24th in on-ice expected goals for per 60. Blake, do we think that Tortorella can re-unlock the 100-point pace of Mark Stone?
I don't know, man. What a debacle. Like, what's the thinking here? I know you talked about it a little bit last night. I don't know. The only thing that Torts can bring to this team right now is a bit of a slap in the face, right? And that could either help or it could pile on. And I'm not sure what's going to happen. Like Torts said in his conference today, like, yeah, he's not here to change anything. He's just here to, kind of change the mindset. Like, that's how bad it is in Vegas. You brought Tortorella in here to help you with your mindset. All right. These aren't like orphan animals, John Tortorella, like where he's going to be like a lovely human being. These are players that, he's such a dingus, and I'm not here for it. I was really glad to see that Tortorella is signed on just for the end of the season and the playoffs. That's it. Like, they cannot go into next season with Tortorella unless they just go on an absolute tear and win the Stanley Cup. Then, of course, Tortorella's back. But back to your question, I just think the whole team is sagging, and this is a wake-up call. Mark Stone has said it's a wake-up call. Mark Stone also said that he thought that Bruce Cassidy lost the room a little bit. So, put your money where your mouth is, my man. Now you got Tortorella in here. Like, does that feel good? All right. Like, I think he's going to be motivated. Mark Stone is a gamer, and 100-point pace, no. 80-point pace, maybe, right? We've got to get that power play going.
Yeah, Elliot Friedman on the 32 Thoughts podcast was saying that it sounded like Cassidy had pretty much lost the room by the end of last year. And so they kind of went through a whole year of them not really enjoying each other's company. And finally they had seen enough, I guess, but pretty interesting overall. We'll see. I think like the new coach bump is a real thing.
Yep.
Guys, will perform for a new coach, try to make a good impression. That is a real thing. We see it year after year. So I do think they'll get a bit of it might be a dead cat bounce, but it will be a bounce, and it's coming at the right time for your fantasy playoffs. So hopefully there's something there for you. Anton Frundell, 4 games in the bigs, 4 assists for the young man, 17.5 minutes average time on ice, 92nd shots per 60, 314th in individual expected goals for per 60. So they're coming from some distance on average there. 104th in on ice expected goals for per 60. I mentioned it yesterday, but they tried out a 5-forward power play with Frundell on it in the last game. I'm not too sad about that. I mean, it's better than Rinzel or Levshinov or whoever they've had at any point throughout the season back there. Pretty obviously to me, and I think that they can probably make that work, at least in a season where they don't care about the possibility of shorthanded goals going the other way. So I'm kind of into Frundell at this point. I think he's a really good prospect. Obviously, 3rd overall pick last year, if I'm remembering correctly, 3rd. Now I'm gonna have to look it up, but either way, I'm into Frundell. I think it's not a bad spot in terms of his potential to score a bunch of points over the last bit of the season. I was correct. It was 3rd overall pick.
Nice
Pat
work.
on the back. Where are you at with Frundell, Blake? Do you think that he can keep this up for a bit?
Yeah, I mean, I rostered him in a couple spots last week, and I think I had him just as soon as he was called up. I picked him up in 2 spots and held on. It's nice to get the production. But yeah, I mean, this team, they look lost out there, the Blackhawks. So it's really in just, tanking territory at this point. They're giving this guy full minute treatment, and he's not exactly ready for it. You know what I mean? But that doesn't matter for us for fantasy. He's a good offensive player, and he's getting offensive opportunities, which is what you like to see for a young guy that was drafted 3rd overall. So I'm here for it. It's just don't expect much, right? And also like Chicago's schedule, not great this week, right? So are you really holding on to Frundell when they play Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday? Like, probably not, right? You're bouncing him to the curb, but it's nice that he's been able to come in and put some production on the board, and hopefully, just has a big offseason and starts the year with the team and gets some good opportunity then.
25 shots for the Colorado Avalanche in the first period against the Calgary Flames and 5 goals
Is
to
that
show
good?
for
I
it.
don't know.
Oh my goodness.
Whoop-de-doodle.
All right. Porter Martone was requested as well. I'm into it. I think, like, as an end of the week stream, it's similar to what we just saw with Rondell. I don't think it's that dissimilar. The only thing I will say is Philadelphia needs Martone less than Chicago needed Rondell just to sell a few more tickets at the end of the season. So Martone could get less deployment for sure. That's a real concern. But I think, like, the way that they've been kind of rolling to top nine, I think he'll fit in somewhere. I could see him fitting in pretty nicely next to a guy like Zegras, so that could be a good spot. Wouldn't be surprising to me if Martone has a nice little end of the week and turns into one of the better Friday Sunday streamers. So file that one away for the end of the week if you need a Friday Sunday streamer. Last one on the list, and then we'll close it out with some comments. Quentin Byfield, 4 goals, 6 points in his last 5 games, 19 minutes average time on ice, 48 shots per 60, 94th individual expected goals for per 60, 154th in on-ice expected goals for per 60. I talked about Byfield in the show yesterday, Blake, but I want to get your take on this young man and what to expect rest of the season here, what you're thinking about him for next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same old story with Byfield, right? Like, I love to see this production and I love to see the minutes. That's excellent. And the underlying metrics are not terrible. But can he do it over a full season? And will he get some time on power play 1? Because recently he's been on power play 2. And yeah, God, like, I think he's good enough to hold the power play 1 spot at this point. But I mean, that's how he's going to be unlocked offensively, is access to Panarin on power play 1. I think that's pretty common sense stuff, right? But right now he's playing with Trevor Moore, Alex Laferriere. That's a nice line. Laferriere has been a really, really fun this year. I think I talked about him in my Players of Interest series at the beginning of the year, and he's just been a fun player. It's still a player I'm interested in watching. But yeah, Quentin Byfield, I think for his career, I feel like he will have a 70-point season. At some point here, Byfield will have a 70-point season. I don't know if it's going to be next year. I mean, we got Anze Kopitar out of here now, so that should equal more opportunity for Quentin Byfield. It's again, just a player. Until he shows me, like, to me, he's kind of a 55-point player at this point.
Yeah. I think that it's the kind of player who next year is going to come at a discount, and I'm willing to take that shot. You want to be taking those late round shots on guys who you think have the potential to bust out one of these years.
Yep.
And so he fits really, really well into that mold. And yeah, it might just take a while. It might take a new coach. It might take, the right message to make everything click. We've seen the talent. We have visual proof of the talent of Quentin Byfield. He just needs to make it all come together in a consistent basis, and maybe they have a coach next year who can make that happen.
Hell yeah, brother.
All right, some comments in YouTube here. Any thoughts on Meyer, who's been shooting like crazy lately? I mean, Meyer shoots like crazy most of the time, but yeah, 6th in shots per 60 over the last 5 games, 3 goals to show for it. 18.5 minutes average time on ice, 8th individual expected goals for per 60. He's doing the thing right now. It's probably a little bit too late for a lot of people who picked him probably higher than this warrants, but Dean Meyer is a guy who likes to shoot the puck, 4th in shots per 60 on the season. Anything to add on Meyer, Blake?
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I think the Devils need to get a boost in their top 6 to unlock some of these guys. You know what I mean? I'm glad Connor Brown has been working out for Jack Hughes. Right now, Timo Meyer's playing with Nico Hischier and Dawson Mercer. I think Dawson Mercer is better suited as a kind of a bottom 6 or a third liner. Get Meyer, someone who, to play with him and Hischier. But yeah, Meyer's been inefficient this year, and just part of the Devil story, which we've talked about enough. But yeah, I still like this guy as a 60-point player, 65-point player, maybe next season.
All right. You had it here first. Before we hit the offseason, could you guys possibly share your preferred keeper league keeper rules as far as number of keepers, losing draft picks for the round you keep them, keeper duration, etc.? I think that I don't know that I've really solidified this for myself. I don't know that there's any like perfect format that I would just like say this is the way to play keeper fantasy hockey. I think it's a little bit what you're into. I like the idea of not having any one person just hang on to Connor McDavid or Nathan McKinnon for their entire careers, just because that does tend to heavyweight the league in that direction. But yeah, I don't know that I have a tried and true format that I've tested and said would say that this is the best way to do it. Bradman, respect to you, gents. Until next year, Nate's analytical and top-notch predictions. Wow, that's probably the best praise I've ever gotten.
High praise.
Blake doesn't say anything like that about me. Blake is the best in the biz. Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
He's
so
better
that's
than I am.
okay. That makes a lot of sense. This is clearly an intelligent individual.
Makes it entertaining and funny to listen to. Appreciate you. What do you guys think of Meyer and Zaka this week? Ride them while they're hot? I would. Yeah,
Hell yes.
honestly. Zaka looks great at the moment. Time to find a girlfriend, enjoy spring/summer. That's the dream.
Good luck to you. Godspeed, little doodle.
Thanks for the incredible content this year. Appreciate you being here with us. Would you take Cats over Michkov in a Bangers Cats?
Kate's.
Did I say Cats?
I would
take Kates over Michkov.
It depends on the breed.
Would you take Cats over Michkov in a Bangers Kates?
In a
I don't know. I guess maybe. I don't feel like I have a strong take on that one. Do you, Blake?
I think I'd rather. Oh God, yeah. It's not. I mean, they're going to be roster, right? So I think I'd go with the hot hand, go with Kate's, and then Michkov would be like they're close, right? I don't think either one's a whiff, but I'd probably go with Kate's.
Fair enough. Should I drop Frondell instantly to pick up 4 games of Dalibor Dvorsky or another St. Louis player? Frondell I had no use for after Tuesday, 16-team Cats League. Dvorsky, I looked at Dvorsky as well. I don't really think that he's likely to have a huge week. It's not, there's nothing in terms of the underlying stuff. There's nothing in terms of the even strength deployment. He's playing with Stenberg and Berggren, which is obviously not the elite caliber offensive line mates that you want.
They always go together.
Second power play unit. So if that's literally the best out there and you need to get those off nights and just get some production on those off nights, then you can do it. I just don't know that Dvorsky is that dude. Like, if Mayu was out there, I'd prefer that. There might be some others that I would consider over Dvorsky. Do I like Philip Peronik as a human or as a hockey player? Yeah.
He's a nice person. Actually, he's a salty, crusty old barnacle, but you know what? The people in Vancouver love him. The team, I mean, like he's really well liked, and he really gives a crap about these guys. And he's been really good for the young players here in Vancouver. But I think he's had a pretty damn good year, all things considering, here in Vancouver, ain't it?
Yeah, I really like Phil Peronik. I would continue to roster him for the rest of the year at this point, even given the situation in Vancouver. 3 games of point or 4 games of laugh. Actually, that could be either. Oh no, only 3 games for LA this week. I was going to say that could be either Laferriere or Lafreniere, but I think it's only 3 games of LA. So Lafreniere, 4 games of Lafreniere or 3 games of Braden Point. That's a real question to me, honestly. At this point, I'm pretty fed up with Braden Point. I think probably the quote unquote correct answer is Braden Point, but maybe you need to take this one, Blake. I'm feeling a little bit of some way about Braden Point these days.
You got to go with your studs. You got to do it. Braden Point. I mean, Cooch has been out for the last couple games as well. You get Kucherov back in the lineup. That power play starts going again. Braden Point has been abysmal on the power play this year. It's crazy. So I agree with you that Radish is the reason. I think he's one of the main reasons there. But I also think Braden Point's been insanely inefficient. He's not bearing his chances. So I think there's some headroom there for him to start getting some points here. And I think the team wants to get him going as well. So all that said, 3 games of point, I'm taking over 4 of laugh. Book it.
All right. Drop Marchenko for Dobish, currently only rostering 1. Would play him once this week and can play other wingers like Slav and Genther next week if I get there.
How many games? What's Columbus?
Columbus has got 3 games, and they're playing Carolina twice and Winnipeg once, which is not ideal in terms of fantasy output. I think it's a realistic problem. I find it hard to drop Marchenko. Yeah, it might be your best bet. It might honestly be it. Like, just looking at your other 2 guys there and what they can do on a game-to-game basis. Slav has been great on the top line in Montreal as of late. It might be the best move, at least with the information given here. That might actually be your best move. Can we get some love for Pavel Zacha? Dude just carried me through quarterfinals and semis. Yeah, he's been on a run. Zacha's he's in that range of a player. Like the end of season stats are never gonna be terrific with Zacha. He's never gonna be a consistent fantasy player, I don't think. But he will have stretches like this, and you should be on him when he's on one like this. All right, Blake, you got any parting words of wisdom for the people before we get out of here?
Just thank you so much for your patronage here this year. This is crunch time though, folks. So hit us up in the DMs, hit us up on Twitter and X, hit us up on the Discord, ask questions away. We want you to get those dubs. Nothing makes Nate and myself happier than crossing the streams. But then after that, getting you all these fantasy hockey dubs. We need to see it. So do not hesitate, get in the DMs and let us help you.
All right. That's all we've got for this episode. Hopefully it brought you some value. I hope you get a little bit better at fantasy hockey today. All the advanced stats you heard today came from Natural Stat Trick and 18 Skaters. Many thanks to Matt Creamer for supplying music for the podcast. That's it, folks. Much love.